I'm in the Kia EV6 Air, which is the entry-grade model for this popular mid-size electric SUV. It has the same battery and excellent charging capabilities of its more powerful siblings, but this sits at a more affordable price. But how does it compare against the likes of the Hyundai Ioniq 5 and the Tesla Model Y? I've been driving it for the last week with my family of 3 to find out for you. Keep watching. The EV6 Air is the base model in a 4 variant lineup, but it will still cost you $72,590 before on-road costs. That places it as its most expensive compared to its rivals, with the base model Tesla Model Y coming in at just over $7,000 cheaper. The Air isn't as well equipped as its siblings, but it's not basic either. That's mainly because the dashboard is headlined by dual 12.3-inch screens. You also get a lot of decent tech with this, with built-in sat-nav, wide Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and features are rounded out with dual-zone air conditioning and premium trims and upholstery throughout. The full specs are in my detailed written review at carsguide.com.au if you need more info. I've always liked the styling of the EV6. It's fun and cool looking. Nothing's really changed on that front. But because this is a base model, you get black plastic molding rather than a body colored paneling around the bottom of the car, which just highlights where it sits in the grade level. Other than that though, it's still a nice looking exterior. The interior looks well made with some great mix of materials that just really complement the futuristic aesthetic. The curved screens on the dashboard gives it some wow factor, as does the center floating console. Overall, it's a very pleasant cabin to look at, despite not being as flashy as some of its siblings. The space in the EV6 rivals some large SUVs, and tall families will rejoice that there is so much leg and headroom in both rows. There's also plenty of storage options throughout, just like this clever shelf underneath the center console. Being the base grade, you don't get electric seats in this, which is a little bit rough considering its price point, but you do get powered lumbar support on the driver's side. The seats themselves, though, are extremely comfortable, which is a real plus. Charging options are really good up front with a single USB-A port and 2 USB-C ports, as well as a 12-volt port and wireless charging pad to choose from. The touchscreen multimedia system is responsive and easy to use once you spend some time with it. I like that it was easy to connect to the wide Apple CarPlay and that the satellite navigation has map updates for the next 10 years. The digital instrument panel is semi-customizable, but probably not as pretty in terms of its graphics as some of the others that I've sampled. Overall, this cockpit is very easy to use and I like how driver orientated it is. This back seat is very comfortable and look at how much legroom I have. It's seriously so good how much space there is in this car. My son was also very comfortable with all of the amenities, like the directional air vents, reading lights, fold down armrest and 2 USB-C ports. Individual storage is as good as the front back here, which is great when you have kids because they always attract so much stuff. My son found it really easy to get out of this car, but we all struggled with the door handles this week. They're flush, they don't pop open on approach or when you unlock, and if you have little T-Rex hands like me and your hands are full, it can be quite annoying to use. The back seat has a 60-40 split, and I like that you can lower them from the manual levers in this boot. You have ISOFIX child seat mounts on the outboard seats plus 3 top tethers, but 2 seats are definitely going to fit best. And front passenger comfort is not compromised when you have to fit a 0 to 4 rearward facing child seat too. The boot is a good size with 490 litres of capacity available, but you also get an additional front storage which ups your literage by 52 litres, which is fantastic for storing any of those pesky cables or tyre mobility kit out of the way. I did miss though that at the rear you don't get a powered tailgate, which I always find is a good feature for families on the go. The EV6 Air is a single motor rear wheel drive and has a maximum power output of 168 kilowatts and 350 newton meters of torque. In terms of the EV6 lineup, the Air is the slowest with the 0 to 100 kilometer sprint time because it achieves it in 7.3 seconds. But honestly, that was plenty enough for me. And I still got that sort of happy tummy sucking sensation whenever I had to put my foot down. The EV6 Air really handles itself well. I drove in torrential rain this week and it didn't skip a beat. I felt very stable and I loved how it gripped the road. I also really like how the power's distributed through the rear wheels. Even when you accelerate, there's no wobble. It feels just really sure of itself, which is great. The steering is on the right side of firm for me, and because of the small turning circle, it just overall feels quite zippy when you're in tight city car parks or city streets. You have 3 levels of regen braking as well as a 1-pedal function called iPedal. I actually feel like the iPedal function is probably one of the best I've sampled. It feels very responsive in stop-start traffic, enough so that you do actually feel like you can just use the 1 pedal. But I did find that if I was parking or traveling down a hill, I still hovered over the brakes because it does roll forward a little bit more than what I like. The only thing I've really noticed about this, and admittedly I was traveling through some pretty crappy weather, but the cabin gets really loud at higher speeds. The sound seems to be more from underneath the carriage rather than coming through the windows, which is good. But yeah, it was enough that it does intrude on chatting a little bit. Parking the Air isn't too much of an issue because you get a super clear reversing camera and front and rear parking sensors. It does take a little while to get used to the rotary gear selector, and you do get it on the higher grades, but I did miss having a 360-degree view camera system. But again, it's not like desperate for it, but it would have been nice on this large car. Officially, the Air has a driving range of up to 528 kilometers, but I only ever saw a top range of 480 kilometers this week, which admittedly is still very good. It has a Type 2 CCS port, which means you can benefit from plugging it into a fast charger, and on a 50 kilowatt system you can get from 10 to 80% in just 73 minutes. If you put it onto a faster 350 kilowatt charger, that drops down to just 18 minutes. Basically, this is quite efficient at charging, which is perfect for busy families. This car has a really handy vehicle to load function, which means that it has a standard 3-pin house plug port in the back for when you need to charge larger appliances while on the go. The Kia EV6 Air comes with a stack of safety features, and I'm really happy that the traffic sign recognition tech has been tweaked to no longer sound and chime on every single speed and traffic sign change. It still chimes when you're in school zones, but you no longer have to go into the menu to downgrade its sensitivity. The Kia EV6 Air has also been awarded a maximum 5-star NCAP safety rating from testing done in 2022. It has 7 airbags, including the newer front center airbag, which is great to see. The full safety specs are in my detailed written review at carsguide.com.au if you need more info. The EV6 comes with a leading 7-year unlimited kilometre warranty, but the battery is covered by a 7-year up to 150,000 kilometre term, which is a smidge shorter than some of its rivals. You can pre-purchase either a 3, 5 or 7-year servicing program, and on the 7-year plan it costs a flat $2,045 or an average of $292 per service, which is really good for the class. Servicing intervals are more in line with a fuel-based car though, at every 12 months or 15,000 kilometres, whichever occurs first. The Kia EV6 Air offers good comfort, a decent amount of features and superb handling for a base model. It is a little pricey considering its competition, but at the end of the day, if you're looking for an EV that's going to fit the family and has a stellar safety list, this is one to consider, and it gets a 7.9 out of 10 from me. My son thinks it looks cool and loves the space he gets in the back row, and he gives it an 8 out of 10. If you're after more details, check out the full review at carsguide.com.au, and I'll see you next week.